En við höldum áfram að fá til okkar erlenda sérfræðinga og við fáum næst heimsókn allaveg frá Belgíu. En til okkar komin maður, and I will switch to English to finish the introduction, who is head of technical sales or specialist at AECO. And their product, Discover Autodesk AI, is something that he will be talking about in his talk. But we will start his talk, and I will introduce him to the stage, and he will be introduced to the stage with a short video. The name of the presenter is Vermeulen, and yes, we will start by playing a video, which I'm not the best at technical operations here, but I hope I will be able to press play on this, and then after the video has been played, Dieter will find his way to the stage. So let's give him a good applause right now with the start of this video.
AI is changing how we work. It's supercharging our creativity, boosting our efficiency, and now it's doing things for us. As AI moves into the agentic era, we've built a trusted partner to help you work smarter. Meet the next generation of Autodesk Assistant, powered by Autodesk AI. At Autodesk, we build the tools that help the world design and make anything. Assistant lives where you already work. It understands your context, helps solve problems faster, and brings the power of AI into the flow of your project. Not because it looks impressive, because it assists on getting real work done. Need clarity? Assistant surfaces the insight before you even ask. Facing a deadline? Assistant clears the noise so you can focus on the priorities. Looking to reduce risk or waste? Assistant helps you find a better path. This isn't automation for its own sake. This is intelligence that works with you, learns from you, and gets out of your way when you're in flow. So engineers can make smarter products. Contractors can minimize risk in real time, and artists can create without friction to deliver faster. Together, we're changing what's possible and what's expected. In the agentic AI era, Autodesk Assistant will help you design and make anything.
Thank you for having me here in Iceland. It's actually my first time I'm here. I experienced already a few typical Icelandic things this week, so I can tell myself now that I tried fermented shark and had a glass of Black Death. So not yesterday evening, maybe I would not stand in here. My name is Dieter Vermeulen. I'm from Belgium. I'm working as a technical sales specialist at Autodesk, covering everything around technology within the AECO industry, so architecture, engineering, construction, and operations. And there are many topics I would love to talk to you about, but I'm limited to Autodesk AI today. So, because this is the new exciting thing, the new exciting era that we are entering with our products. And I always use like the 3-view storytelling principle, which means that I'm starting with an airplane view, with a satellite view, then I start with an airplane view and a boots on the ground. Now the satellite view is, what is the world looking like today in terms of technology? What are the challenges we have? And the airplane view is how we at Autodesk look at those challenges and what we want to achieve with them. And then the boots on the ground view might be for some of you very interesting, because this is like really diving into the technology and what our technology can do to solve all those challenges. And challenges also mean opportunity. That's how we look at it from an Autodesk point of view. And if we look at this headline from The Economist, it's already dating from 2017, where they say that the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data. So think about that in the context of AI. Modern AI systems, they don't run on oil, they run on data. So whoever masters that principle of using data becomes the market leader. Because in AI, data is the ultimate fuel. So if we look at, for instance, this example of Kansas City architecture, how they have been challenged by data throughout the last last century, they started with the first project where they only had 23 sheets in the list with ink on linen. And then they went further and further and further, and look how it grows exponentially, how the amount of data in their projects grows. Like the last project they did was an airport, not the last one, but the last that I have an example of was an airport with more than 20,000 sheets compared to 23 100 years ago. But if you look at that, we also see that there is a bit of a challenge with that data. We've heard it already in previous presentations that we have to use data, we can put in data in that phase and another phase and so on. But you know that 95.5% of that data actually goes lost in engineering and construction. So sometimes people start asking themselves, why I'm completing all the metadata in a Revit model? Why I'm doing that? Because nobody's using it. And that means that there is an annual cost estimated to almost $2 trillion about that because of unreliable data, because the data has no quality. And the data is also fragmented because most of the engineering and construction companies are using at least 6 different tools to author models and to add data to those models. Now, the flip side is powerful. That's how we look at it. The organizations that are building strong data capabilities, those organizations will outperform. And independent research actually shows that data leaders see materially higher profit growth versus the beginners. And that's because better data lets you understand project and portfolio health, and it helps you to allocate resources, to trim waste in your construction processes. So we also see that nearly 3% increase is expected as an average for a profit each year for those people, for those professionals that embrace data and that embrace good quality data. So if we look at it from an Autodesk point of view, let's say that airplane view, we ask ourselves, like, what does better data look like? Because we are moving from monolithic files towards more granular information that cloud platforms can route to the right person at the right place at the right time. And we try to do this by breaking design data into small portable pieces and to enable interoperability with it. So actually we make data accessible, we make it connected, and we want to make it useful. The payoff of that is very straightforward. You get better decisions, there is less rework, and there is more trust across the teams and the stakeholders. Now, to unlock the promise of AI, we need to have the right data foundation. And this is how we look at the data structure with the development of most of our tools. So you might have heard already about the name change from Autodesk Construction Cloud to Forma. Well, the reason for that is because we want to have that accessible foundation. We want to make sure that all the granular data is stored in a centralized place. We are not talking about files anymore. It's about having everything in one place and see this as those little pieces, those little portable pieces of data. Now, secondly, in that second layer, we also need to structure and govern it. So we need definitions, standards, quality checks, so that the data has a good quality, that the data can be used in many applications. And then the third layer of that foundation is to visualize and democratize the data. So using dashboards, analytics, have interoperable at least experiences. And on that foundation, AI can then automate all the mundane and surface insights before decisions are made. So it helps us to design and deliver more of those sustainable and higher quality outcomes. Now, you might have seen that already before, the progress of how designing is done. We heard already today about something called model-based design, which is the movement from CAD to BIM and to connected BIM. But now we are becoming in that new era of outcome-based design. And outcome-based design is powered by AI. And it's an innovative approach that integrates AI as what we call a co-creator alongside the conventional model-based method. So this is not built in here to replace, it's not here to replace model-based design, but it's here to make sure that we have a co-creator, that we have something that can help us along the side. So imagine here this one. It's an example of what the future of BIM will look like with AI. So with outcome-based BIM, teams of developers and engineers, they will define upfront their desired outcomes for the projects. Things like maximum cost, time to deliver, what are the impacts of our methods of constructions that we want to use, and so on. And while AI is generating a range of options to meet those criteria, they use also specific analysis tools within AI, and this way the professionals can immediately get insights into the impact of their decisions, so they can shortlist the best options from that. So I want to be clear here, outcome-based BIM, it's not a replacement of model-based BIM, it's just a powerful and additional way of working that will complement the model-based approach and powered by AI, so you have an extra colleague with you. But that also means that we need to rethink about the way how we operate, the way how we have our relationships with machines. This is our traditional way, using a keyboard and a mouse. But what about if the conversation becomes a new interface, talking to a computer? We do that already using Siri or Alexa or Google. But what about if you can use this also in your design tools? Or using hand-drawn sketches, gestures, photography, and more to communicate with the machine to get a specific outcome from it. So how does this new relationship affect the future of work then? The World Economic Forum thinks that we are on the cusp of crossing a threshold where machines do a larger part of a given task than humans. And many professionals we speak with, they fear that this is representing lost work. However, if we look at it from a positive side, it may be true in some domains maybe, but the more optimistic picture is that for the same amount of effort from a human, the human-machine team can accomplish much more. So in other words, humans and machines together, they can unlock additional capacity to do more with less resources. And this is why it's so important that employee development is at the center of your AI strategy. So make sure that your employees know that your AI vision is one that focuses on developing skills and not on replacing skills. It's helping to cultivate talent, reward innovation even. So it's not replacing workers with technology, AI or otherwise. It's helping them to become better in what they do. Now, if we go a little bit closer to that world, so let's say we jump out of that airplane and want to go to the boots on the ground, and what we see in here is an evolution of our design. So decades ago, computers began to support parametric 3D design with tools such as Revit, for instance. And this is offering richer variations, but it required complex rules. And not long after, designers could begin to create much more options and much more sophisticated large models by the means of computational design, or even generative design to optimize all kinds of solutions and explore those optimized solutions. However, the expertise and the time that were required to set up these kinds of explorations, it's very significant. It's leading to only a handful of design teams adopting this technology. But today, what we see is the beginning of truly AI-powered 3D design, where humans can interact more naturally without having to create complex rules, and where we can communicate with machines in a natural way so that they help us to automate, to assist, and to augment our designs. Now, this is not a linear sequence that we see in here. It's a disruptive change compared to all the other design methods that we are used to work with. Now, I also like to share you a little bit of the hierarchy of generative AI models, because that's very important to understand before you dive yourself into AI-powered 3D design. And the one that we are most familiar with is language and visual reasoning. So most of the amazing capabilities that are provided by AI tools like ChatGPT or Copilot, they are powered by large foundation models. And these are shown at the base of this hierarchy, and they will become instrumental parts of the enterprise level technologies that our customers are creating. But the second layer is actually a more specialized foundation model. And this one can reason about the spatial and the structural world, so it's actually obeying the laws of physics. Now, the language and vision models in the first layer, they can sometimes, they seem like they understand the real world, but that's really just through understanding patterns in language or in imagery. But it's not through any reasoning that is truly connected to a physical observation or to modeling. And that's where we see a unique role for us at Autodesk to play in and to be part of that second layer. And also the third part is a very important, the third layer, which is the industry-specific reasoning. And we aim to build foundation models with those industry-specific reasoning on how things are physically made or constructed. So in other words, how a factory may manufacture a product or how a construction is actually built on site. So these are the standard pieces of the puzzle that Autodesk is aiming to provide that build on the existing language and vision foundation models. What is that fourth layer then? Well, this is your team's information. In that last layer, we expect you to be able to aggregate and align any of these models just as they are with the language models today. So, and that you can align it with your company-specific data, workflows, and your own approaches, so that you can keep it within your own safe environment. So on that hierarchy, on that model, that's where we are working on right now with many of our tools and with many of the examples that you will see in a minute. So we jumped out of the airplane and we are getting closer to with our boots on the ground, but before we get there, what does it mean having Autodesk AI? Well, we have 5 pillars for that. Generative AI, agentic AI, predictive AI, productivity tools, and insights and personalization. And each of those pillars are like buckets of AI tools that you can use. Some of them are more disruptive than the others, like generative AI is still in its early shoes. You can try it for free already on our website and generating 3D models based on language. And agentic AI is the one that we are going to focus on today. Now, agentic AI has very specific value propositions. So when we talk about it, we are not just talking about automation, we are talking about empowering designers across the whole design and make journey. And AI is handling the tedious tasks with automation, so cleaning geometry, placing blocks, making the right interpretation of specific markups. So it means less time clicking and more time creating. So it can help you to be more creative. It's freeing up your time to design rather than just having to draft. But AI is also augmenting your workflows. It's suggesting more efficient commands, it's exploring design options, it can improve the accuracy of your designs. So it's not just replacing your creativity, it's amplifying it. And finally, AI is also assisting in making sense of complexity. So it gives like insights from your data. It can help you to understand patterns in your designs, and it can help you to improve the performance of your designs. So it turns actually information into actionable decisions. Now, unlike other agents such as Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, Autodesk Assistant is something that is built for the complexities of design and make. So it's focusing on the deep expertise that we need in industry or in cross-industry workflows, in processes and in design intent. And we wanted to make it as a trusted Autodesk AI experience, something that is unified and that is focused on the things that you are doing and not just on language. So you will not be able to ask Autodesk Assistant how to make that fermented shark. It will not have an answer for that. But it will have an answer on how to do a specific task in Revit, or it can even help you to automate that specific task. So it's augmenting your design and make workflows. So how does that Autodesk Assistant work? Actually, the user asks a question to Autodesk Assistant, and behind the Autodesk Assistant, there is this trusted AI using guardrails, routing, specific compliance. It's something which we call ethical AI. So it's not sending your data to some kind of a suspicious server or something. It's using that guardrail, and behind that guardrail, we have the MCP servers running, which are Model Context Protocol servers. I'll explain that a bit later in the presentation. It's a bit of a difficult topic, but the goal of this MCP is to have unified APIs that communicate with all kinds of different tools, and not just Autodesk tools, but also other tools from, for instance, your own ERP system, or it could be Microsoft systems, anything else that supports MCP. And that means that the agent has access to all those APIs so that you don't have to switch from one tool to another. Meanwhile, we're landed. We're on the ground now. It's time for having a little bit of fun with our tools. So what can we do with that Autodesk AI? Well, one of the first examples that we have is already in there for long, is what we call in-product assistant. Some of you might maybe remember that clip that we used to have in Microsoft products, like that annoying paper clip with those big eyes that came to you to help you how to build something in Word or Excel. Well, this one helps you as well, but it's less annoying. So you can ask questions to Autodesk Assistant, like how can I do this in my product? And it helps you to give you all the steps that you need to take. So instead of having to go into a help file and search for the things that you need and have to dive into it for like a full day to understand the product, you can ask the assistant to help you to learn that product. Or what about Forma Board? In Forma Board, we can create like presentations of your architecture, and instead of having to wait for a full day to have a high quality rendering, you can use natural language to ask Forma Board to create a rendering of your design. Without having to assign materials, without having to set up a whole scenery, within a few seconds you get a new render from that. But we also have Autodesk Assistant in Revit. So recently with our 2027 release, you get access to Autodesk Assistant as well. It's not fully integrated yet. It's still a limited version of Autodesk Assistant, but at least it can do already quite some tasks for you. Like in this case, we want to check the window to wall ratio of that facade. So instead of having to create all kinds of schedules and measures and try to calculate surfaces, you just ask Autodesk Assistant, what is my window to wall ratio? And if you're not happy with it, you can ask it to also replace the windows to larger size windows so that you have a better result of that. Actually, the trick within Autodesk Assistant is you just ask it what it can do for you. You just ask, how can you help me? And it gives you a list of all the commands that are available at this moment within the product. Now, in this case, behind me, you can also see that we are creating a floor plan of a specific level. We ask it to mock it up a little bit so that we have a better view. We don't want to have too much lines. We want to use few templates. We want to even place it on a sheet and complete the title block of it. Now, imagine doing this for 10 levels at the same time. It saves you a lot of clicks to create all of that. So the tedious tasks that you have to do in design products can be done by that AI agent while you can concentrate on what is really important of that design. If we go back to Civil 3D, there is also Autodesk Assistant that can help you to investigate that drawing. This is still in a preview release, but it will come in soon. So in here, I want to understand how many concrete pipes do we have, or what is the length of the concrete pipes that we have on this specific design. And I want to ask it to also create a structured table of it with extra information, so that I don't have to build tables inside of my designs. It saves me time again to give me insight in that design. And the assistant will even suggest you to do something else eventually with those results. So it helps you to think about your design so that you can improve it. Now let's go to Forma, so the former Autodesk Construction Cloud. So apologies for the branding, it still says built, but it should be Forma built now. But what we do in here is actually using the knowledge layer. So the knowledge layer, which is that granular data that I just talked to you about. And this is where everything like the connected data, the relationships, the context, all of that is coming together. And it pulls together insights from multiple data sources, things like specifications, issues, RFIs, and other agents to give you a complete answer without having to do the manual effort. So it's not just a simple chatbot or a help chatbot, it's something way more powerful. The Autodesk Assistant is what we call an action-oriented tool. So it's a agentic partner for your projects. A final example of Autodesk Assistant is in here in the specification sections of formal data management. So you can ask here a specific question in the prompt, and similar to ChatGPT or Copilot or any other AI tool you might have experienced before, you can just use natural language for it. So you can even find example questions on the top so that you can learn a little bit more to work with it. So the assistant will find and summarize all the relevant information in here for the specifications, so that you, and also point you instantly to the right direction, to the right section of those specifications that were stored on that project. Now, I told you about Model Context Protocol, right? So MCP. And that's actually the next level of AI. With MCP, we can connect external data with external sources, with external tools. And this is all about reusing the data that you have put in so much effort in all of your design tools. And MCPs, they are actually a bit of new class of APIs that can be used. So it follows a communication protocol that can only be consumed by AI agents. So it's not AI itself, it's actually the connector. While we have at the left side here, for instance, the large language model, which is the basis of tools like ChatGPT and Copilot, that layer is only understanding and reasoning. So it doesn't do anything for you. It's not performing tasks, it's just reasoning. And agentic AI is like the tool itself. It's like you have ChatGPT, that's the agent, but GPT 5.2, that's the LLM. And these can make actions and they can make a decision. And that's also what Autodesk Assistant is doing. It can make an action for you. It can perform something. And MCP is then the layer that connect and enable. And I like to compare this with an electricity network. The network itself, the electricity cables, these are your large language model. The agent is, for instance, your hairdryer that you want to put into the power socket. And MCP is the standardization of that socket. Are we going to use an EU socket or a UK socket? What about if we don't have to use several sockets, or if you travel to the US and you forgot your adapter? What about if everything would look the same? That's exactly what MCP is doing. It makes sure that you can connect with each API that is available in just one language. So the way how this works with MCP is that a user talks to the Autodesk Assistant or to an external one, to Claude, for instance, or Gemini, and the MCP server is connected to the AI agent and can then do several tasks around authentication, extract information from your AC data model, or create all kinds of elements that can be viewed. And this is an example of how we, for instance, connect Claude to Copilot to Revit through that MCP server. So you can perform all kinds of tasks, at least if those tasks are available on that MCP server. So it requires a bit of programming. It means that you need to have a specific skill set to set up that MCP server. But look at this from a very innovative point of view. You will be able to do all kinds of crazy tasks in it and automate things and customize it to your own level. So that's the next phase of AI that you will see in the future. We are working on MCP servers already at Autodesk for Revit, for Fusion, for the AEC data model, and you might see some changes coming up in the future, especially around Autodesk University. So I want to thank you for your attention in here, and I'm around here for all day, so if you have any questions, feel free to come to me and just tap on my shoulder and ask your question. Happy to help you with this. So thank you.
Dieter Vermeulen, give him a good round of applause.